One of the most inspiring aspects of my journey has been having many role models to shape the decisions needed for a trajectory of greatness. Nthanda Manduwi is nothing short of one of these exemplary figures. Our names, Nthanda and Nthandos, might sound strikingly similar, but that's not the only reason I resonate with her work. Nthanda's achievements and dedication to making a difference are what truly inspire me and many others. She is a published author, entrepreneur, human rights and policy advocate, media producer, and so much more. She is the founder of BN Corporation Africa, the TAO Foundation, which have spearheaded numerous initiatives like Quad2 Collective, Digital Skills for Africa, NMN Africa, Tailored Africa, Bands to Business, and Music for Malawi. Her academic background is equally impressive, holding a Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Malawi, double majoring in economics and demography, and currently pursuing a Master of Science in entrepreneurship. If that wasn't enough, she has also been recognized and nominated for numerous prestigious international awards. Her dedication, passion, and achievements hope to inspire us all to strive for greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage a truly remarkable woman, Nthanda Manduwi.
The Chair of Governors, the Head Teacher, teaching and all staff, proud parents, students, good afternoon. When I was asked to speak today, I thought about the time I was sitting where you're sitting, and I realized that was in 2010, and it hit me that it has been 14 years. It feels like yesterday. So congratulations to you, the graduating class of 2024. When I was pursuing my Bachelor of Social Science degree at the University of Malawi, a number of colleagues who got to know me and my passions would often say, "You will get hired by the United Nations." They often said this to me as a compliment. Now, I'm the daughter of mariners. My mother was the first female ship captain of Malawi, and my father is a marine engineer by training. And I was raised in a gated community in the district of Mangochi, a life now that when I look back upon, I think of as a life of privilege. All my life, I had not heard of, nor had I taken any interest in international relations, and by extension, sustainable development. I was what most called then a brilliant kid. I was always number one in my class. I got distinctions in all the sciences in secondary school. And as we were preparing for university, as you can imagine, I had several options laid out in front of me, as I imagine you do now. As someone with a clear passion and a clear strength in mathematics, I was advised that I could become a doctor, an engineer, maybe even an accountant. Now, prior to her marine specialty, my mother had studied pure sciences at the University of Malawi, and she really wanted at least one of her children to retrace her footsteps. So I visited the University of Malawi, I liked it, and I applied. Then the most prestigious degree was the degree of law, and the second best was social sciences. But to get into law, you had to get into another degree and then transition into law. So I applied for social sciences, and I got in. In 2011, I was admitted. When you get into Chancellor College, you get a registration number, and your registration number is a marker of what grade you are in that class. I was BSOP 0211, meaning I was second best out of a class of over 100. I carried that number over the years with a lot of prestige, knowing that I was second best in that class. I enjoyed my time in undergrad, and as time went on, I really took a lot of interest in humanitarian work. My mother had a huge passion for giving. She really wanted to give to people every time, every chance she got, she wanted to help people. When I learned about the Lions Club International, I joined the Leo Club at Chancellor College. Now, every time we did work as the Leo Club, we would raise some funds, some financing, would go out into the community and would donate some things and some funds. Every time we donated, I always had the question that, okay, after we donate, when we go back home, what next? What happens to the people that are here? I always thought that that was not enough. So I made the rather difficult decision to leave the Lions Club, and then I set up my own organization, the TAO Foundation, in 2018. In between then, of course, that's after I graduated, I had gotten the privilege to intern with the UN Women office in Malawi, and still then, I still felt we were not doing enough. I've been privileged to have had quite a lovely career as a young woman. If you're curious, I'm 28 years old. I started with an internship with UN Women in 2017, which was followed by an internship with the Malawi government. And after that, I joined the Malawi government as a revenue officer with the Malawi Revenue Authority. I later resigned from the Malawi Revenue Authority to full-time run my organization, the Nthanda Foundation, then when we had received $250,000 from the World Bank to run the Digital Malawi project. 1 year and 2 months into running my foundation full-time, I was selected as one of 20 out of 38,709 applicants to be part of the first UNDP graduate program, and I was matched the UNDP Independent Evaluation Office in New York City, where I have been for the past 2 years. I was supporting the National Evaluation Capacities Conference and leading knowledge coordination for the global SDGs Synthesis Coalition, and I recently incorporated my nonprofit in the US so that we can globalize our efforts digitizing Africa. When we hear of diplomatic and international relations, people join for so many reasons. But for those of us who join for the right reasons, and I can think of, hopefully you guys will join too, you join with a hope to change the world. At least that's what I and one of my former supervisors discussed. When we spoke about how we both joined the UN, we said we wanted to change the world. And then we discussed that when you join the UN or as other such international organizations, you're humbled by the bureaucracy, and eventually you say, maybe I'll just change the area around my desk because everything takes so long. So sustainable development is one of the most noble causes, but when you take it global, international relations, for good reason, makes the progress slower. I mean, picture how difficult it may have been, especially as students, working with your different colleagues from so many different backgrounds just to make something happen. Now put together people from 193 countries, different backgrounds and cultures, trying to do something together. Of course, it will take a while. Sustainable development, by definition, is an approach to growth and human development that aims to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It aims to have a society where living conditions and resources meet human needs without undermining planetary integrity. I'm sure we all know about the SDGs, and at risk of boring you, I'll still state them. On the 25th of September, during the United Nations General Assembly in New York, the member states adopted the SDGs effective from the beginning of 2016, ideally when I graduated from university, until 2030, which is 6 years from now, paving the path to solving poverty, security, gender equality, and climate change. I'm certain we all know them. Goal number 1 is no poverty. Number 2 is zero hunger. Number 3 is good health and well-being. Number 4 is quality education, what you're getting right now. Number 5 is gender equality, hoping more women can be included in decision-making and work like I am right now. Number 6 is clean water and sanitation. Number 7 is affordable and clean energy. Number 8 is decent work and economic growth, something that we really need to work hard to create in Malawi. Number 9 is industry, innovation, and infrastructure, something that also Malawi deeply needs at the moment. Number 10 is reduced inequalities. Number 11, sustainable cities and communities. Number 12, responsible consumption and production. Number 13, climate action. 14, life below water. 15, life on land. 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. And lastly, and most importantly, partnerships for the goals. When you hear of the goals, they sound like a lot, but ideally they all speak to one thing: a sustainable future for our world. As part of my work at UNDP, I started producing what is now my show, The Lessons Conversation, and our pilot episode focused on the principle of leaving no one behind. The United Nations right now is guided by 6 principles. These principles include leaving no one behind, number 1, a human rights-based approach to development, gender equality and women's empowerment, number 4, resilience, number 5, sustainability, and lastly, accountability. I want to focus on the principle number 1, leaving no one behind, and by extension we say reaching the furthest behind first. This is a central transformative promise of the 2030 Agenda, a rights-based framework that represents the unequivocal commitment of all United Nations member states to eradicate poverty in all its forms, end discrimination, exclusion, and reduce inequalities and vulnerabilities, including the impacts of climate change and environmental degradation. I want you to take a moment to look around you. Every single person here has some shape or form of privilege. I believe most of us have never gone a night without having access to food or health. These are basic human rights, and when we speak about a sustainable future for us all, it is about making sure that every single human being has access to all of these things. This is the work of sustainable development. If you're counting, it's been 9 years since we committed to the SDGs. Before that, we had the MDGs. And now we have 6 years to the 2030 mark. I quote the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, speaking in 2021, where he said, regrettably, the SDGs were already off track even before COVID-19. Progress had been made in poverty reduction, maternal and child health, access to electricity and gender equality, but not enough to achieve the goals by 2030. In other vital areas, including reducing inequality, lowering carbon emissions, and tackling hunger, progress had either stalled or reversed. The work of sustainable development continues to stall. The MDGs failed to meet all their targets. The SDGs will also likely not meet their targets by 2030. This is not just a failure of the United Nations, it's a failure of us all, the governments, CSOs, NGOs, perhaps even the private sector. We all need to recourse, synthesize, and learn from what works, and in what context, and under what circumstances, and why, to ensure our development initiatives are not failures and we do not fail humanity. When I left New York City, I sat with one of my seniors, the director of my office, and she spoke to me about my career, and she specifically said, you do not belong in this office designing and coordinating reports. You should be out there on the other side, as she pointed, in New York at the United Nations Secretariat, advocating for real change on the ground. She was right, and I chose to step away for a while to recourse the work I started in Malawi, the work of my foundation, because I'm aware that here, the change that I make is more than just around the area around my desk. Here we change the lives that we're able to see and measure. I believe in the work that we do, and there's no price tag I have yet to place on my work. Here is Africa's most valuable resource, you, Africa's young people. Africa is endowed with a youth dividend at the moment, an estimation of 500 million young people aged between 15 and 35, a median age of 19, I believe your age group. Only 1 in 10 youth in Africa today has access to tertiary and technical vocational education, and 1 in 4 youth are currently neither in employment, education, or training. Skilling Africa's youth is an economic imperative to unlock the immense potential the continent holds in its youth. Digitization for sustainable development is a crucial element in our mission at Nthanda Foundation. By leveraging digital technologies, we can create a more efficient and scalable solutions to address the challenges faced by our communities. Digital tools enable us to collect data better, improve access to education and even healthcare, support the growth of SMEs, and these advancements are essential for achieving sustainable development, the Sustainable Development Goals and sustainable development in all. We created a platform called Digital Skills for Africa, and for the graduating students, I do invite you to explore it, where you can get some varied digital skills. We have a pool of about 200 African specialists in different industries across Africa and even in the diaspora, creating courses that are very relevant to work at the moment that can make you more hireable for different companies around the world. Allow me to conclude in this way. I consider myself to be one of the most fulfilled individuals on the planet. I live a life guided by and filled with love. As we were watching the press release on Monday, when the President, His Excellency Dr. Lazarus Makathi Chakwera, addressed the nation to announce the very tragic passing of His Excellency Right Honorable Dr. Saulus Klaus Chilima, alongside 8 others, my Chief of Operations, Victor Gondwe, asked me what I consider to be the purpose of my life. And I responded, I aim to give all my love at every turn, and the universe continues to fill me up and to give me more love to give. In my experience, it has not been working on the 20th floor in Manhattan or receiving multiple awards as an inspiring young person. It has been giving my love to people through my work and receiving their love in bouts of gratitude on my path. As you graduate today and step out into the world, I urge you to become advocates for leaving no one behind. I want you to remember the furthest behind, those not as privileged as we are. As you graduate and step out into the world, stand in the gaps, be diligent, stand up for what is right, be good, and be honest. The universe rewards goodness, and as you step into the world as leaders of today, I wish you every kind of goodness on your path. Congratulations, class of 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Manduwi, for a very inspirational speech.